All right, let's talk about something that's about to be a very big deal for businesses across the EU. It's called the NIS2 directive. And it's not just another piece of regulation, it's a huge shift in how we have to think about security. We're going to break down what this means for your training programs and, more importantly, how you can turn what looks like a legal headache into a real strategic advantage.
So, why all the fuss? Well, it really boils down to this one kind of scary number, 74%. That's the percentage of all data breaches that involve a human element. Someone clicking a bad link, using a weak password, falling for a clever scam. And that's the core vulnerability. It's the exact problem that NIS2 is designed to fix.
And that really gets to the heart of it. See, NIS2 isn't some tech issue you can just toss over the fence to your IT department. No, it's a strategic response to that human factor. It's a mandate to transform your employees from what might be your biggest risk into your strongest line of defense.
So what exactly is the NIS2 directive? Well, think of it this way. It's the law that takes cybersecurity training from a nice-to-have best practice and makes it a must-do legal obligation. And we're not just talking about a few teams here. This applies to everyone, from the newest hire all the way up to the board of directors.
And you really don't want to get this wrong. The stakes are huge. We're talking fines that can go up to 10 million euros or even 2% of your company's global turnover, whichever one is higher. So yeah, let's just say ignoring this is not an option.
So that leads us to the big question, right? How do you actually build a program that doesn't just check a compliance box, but one that genuinely makes your organization safer? Let's get into the strategy.
The best way to tackle this is with a simple but really powerful framework, the 3-pillar strategy. It's all about making sure you've got the right people, learning the right content, all managed through the right process. So let's dive into that first pillar.
First up, Pillar 1, the people. Look, a one-size-fits-all training program just isn't going to cut it here. To be effective, you have to start by understanding exactly who needs to be trained and, just as important, what they need to learn based on their specific role.
And when you look at who needs training, you realize just how comprehensive NIS2 is. It's way beyond just your IT folks. Your leadership team? They're now legally on the hook and need training. Your tech teams need those advanced deep dive skills. All your staff need that fundamental awareness. And, this is a big one, it even extends to your supply chain.
And right here, this is the real game changer. This is a direct quote from Article 20 of the directive itself. It says, management bodies must participate in training themselves. This changes everything. Cybersecurity is no longer just an IT problem that gets delegated down the chain. It's now a board-level responsibility, and it's written right there in black and white.
So, what that means for you is that your training has to be role-based. For the majority of your staff, the goal is pretty clear. Build a strong human firewall. That means training on phishing, password safety, and company policies. But for your specialized teams, your IT pros, your security folks, the focus has to be much deeper, on building real technical expertise in things like threat detection and secure coding.
Okay, so once you know who you're training, we can move on to Pillar 2, the content. Now the question becomes, what do these teams absolutely need to know to be effective? The foundation of any solid program is what the directive calls basic cyber hygiene. This is all about the simple, everyday stuff. Things like not clicking on weird links in emails, locking your screen when you step away from your desk, and making sure your home Wi-Fi is locked down if you're working remotely. These fundamentals, they make a massive difference.
But look, just knowing this stuff isn't enough. What happens when something actually goes wrong? Every single employee needs to know these 3 critical steps. 1. Recognize that something is off. 2. Report it immediately. Speed is everything here. And 3. Follow the instructions you get from the security team. A fast, correct response can be the difference between a small hiccup and a total disaster.
And hey, don't forget the tools your team is using every single day. The training has to cover how things like multi-factor authentication work and why it's so important. It also means drilling in the rule that sensitive work conversations happen on company-approved channels, not on personal messaging apps.
Okay, that brings us to our final pillar, the process. It's great to have the training, but it's not enough. You need a system to manage it, to measure if it's even working, and, this is critical, to prove to any auditors or regulators that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
So how do you measure success? Well, one of the best methods is running phishing simulations. You're basically tracking 2 key things. You want to see the number of people who click on those fake phishing links go down over time. But at the same time, you want to see the number of people who correctly report those emails go up. That's how you know the training is actually sinking in and changing behavior.
And you have to document absolutely everything. I can't stress this enough. Keep detailed records. Who was trained, when they were trained, what you covered. Because in the eyes of an auditor, if it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Plus, this creates a feedback loop, letting you constantly improve your program based on what you learn.
And believe me, having a strong process really pays off. A study from IBM found that companies with effective security training actually saved an average of $230,000 in data breach costs. See, this isn't just about dodging fines, it's about protecting your bottom line.
And that really brings us to the big picture here. This is about moving past a simple check-the-box compliance mindset. The real payoff, the real return on this investment, comes from building a genuine, security-aware culture throughout your entire organization.
So when you boil it all down, a great training program that's NIS2-compliant, it does so much more than just help you avoid those fines. It directly lowers your risk of a breach, it makes your whole organization more resilient, and it helps create a culture where security is truly everyone's job. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. When you look at the training in your organization, is it just a checkbox you have to tick for compliance? Or are you actually building it to be your single strongest defense?